Okay, nobody watched my other video, but I'm gonna link one of the guys that I saw. So the YouTuber was called YoYo English, I think that's what it was, and his experiences of buying a motorcycle in the dealerships here in Texas. Now my experiences are completely different. I'm not white, black, or Latinx, however you want to call people. And so, with that being said, I had a different experience as far as going into a shop and purchasing a motorcycle. Now, for those people that don't know, I made a longer video earlier, kind of all over the place, right? Boots, the bike rolling around, shops, purchasing, and all this stuff. So I'm just going to condense it, cut it down. Hopefully, can make it under 10 minutes. Probably not. The big issue that he had was that he felt like the dealerships were being racist to him. Now, he went to Alamo Cycleplex, which is not called that anymore. I don't know what, Family Cycleplex or something. It's northwest side of San Antonio, I-10 over by De Zavala area. Now, I had a good experience the first time I ever went there. The second time I went there, not as good of an experience. Now, his story was, and I'll link it in the description box, but his story was that he went there and they asked him how he was going to pay for it. Now, I've never had anybody do that. Now, I also had a kid with me the second go around, so maybe that's why they didn't come bother or talk to me. But I was sitting on a CF Moto because I was debating on what bike to get at the time. This is late November, after Thanksgiving, beginning of December sometime period. And I saw the CF Motos. I thought they looked nice. I wanted to get the price, because these bike companies don't put prices, so then you physically have to talk to them, right? So I went into this Alamo place the second time right after Thanksgiving, and they were a little busy, not super busy. Nobody helped me. I started walking around with my kid because he needed to use the restroom, and so we went and looked at helmets and boots and like some stuff for the bike itself, like chain cleaner and oil and stuff like that I knew I was going to need. So I just kind of wanted to get a feel for it. And those guys were really helpful, the guys at the counters. But no salesperson ever came up to me, and I'm not joking. There were 2 keys inside the CF Motos that were sitting there, and I could have been a dick and turned them on and revved them up until somebody came and helped me, right? But I didn't want to. I was like, whatever, I don't care. But nobody came and helped me. Nobody came and said anything. And so I left. I walked out and didn't think nothing of it, and just kind of went and looked at my own. There was a sales guy outside talking to somebody, finishing up, and he was coming back in. And me and my kid were looking at a Grom, and he didn't come and ask me, hey, you want to look at anything? You want to talk about anything? Didn't say nothing. I saw a Suzuki 8R there that was blue and white, and I really liked it. I thought it looked really cool. I said, hey, look, this is the bike I kind of want. I like the way it sat. I like the way it felt. It wasn't too aggressive. I just kind of wanted to get numbers, like I said. Now, I'm one of those people that kind of goes in there and kind of bullshits, right? Like, I'm not really looking to buy a bike, but I'm looking to buy a bike at this time. So I kind of want to see what numbers I can get for these motorcycles. And then, but like I said, nobody helped me there. So I went down to, same day, because I'm right down the road from there, went down to Ducati spot, and I saw the Ducati, and the guy helped me immediately. I walked into Ducati, he was all like, hey, blah, 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 they're just talking. I told him, hey man, I don't think I can afford Ducati at this time. I don't think, it's in the price range of what I need to do. Oh, you never know, what are you looking for? And I was like, a Monster, because I've always wanted a Monster, and I liked the way it looked. And I thought maybe it was close to the price range, but it still really wasn't. It still looked like maybe $1,000, $2,000 outside of my pocket. And so he was real talkative. The reason why I didn't get a Monster or a Ducati is because of what the dude on the phone said to another customer when they were talking about fixing the Ducati or getting it in for maintenance. They told him that it was going to be a long wait, that they were down a couple of techs, and that if they go to Austin, they would probably get a faster response and a faster turnaround. Now that kind of soured it, because for me, I live pretty far away from a Ducati spot. To drive down to Ducati, drop off my bike, let it sit there for 4 or 5 weeks, have to borrow somebody's car to travel back and forth. Like, it's wintertime right now. I'm not doing too much riding, but I can still stand the cold if I need to, right? Turnaround time for Suzuki is like 2 days, unless you do like on a Saturday, it's probably like 6 hours. But the issue that I had was if they're going to be that slow with a Ducati during the off season, what's going to happen to my Monster when I need to take it in there? And I ride the Monster like my everyday kind of vehicle. So I don't, in that aspect, I don't know what to do. So that kind of soured me on Ducati, Triumph, and Aprilia, all those bikes that were there. Then I thought about BMW. I knew there was a BMW shop nearby, and I thought, hey, you know what? I would probably want to get a BMW, but I couldn't find it. It was off of I-10. I drove by there. The shop was closed, and I was like, oh well. I didn't look online for it. I just thought it was in the same spot. So they went there. I headed home, and then the next day, or I think the next week, I went down to Kent Power Sports. Oh no, I went to Woods. If you're watching the video, that's where this bike was. It came in and out. Woods Hill Country or Hill County, I don't remember. I went in there looking for a Honda, but they're only a Suzuki, Kawasaki, CF Moto. And I was like, oh, what about a CF Moto? Maybe I could do a CF Moto. And the guy was like, yeah, blah, blah. And, I knew it was 8,000, so maybe they could walk out 10. The guy wouldn't hold any cards. He wouldn't tell me, like, what pricing was, like, walking out the door. He was very kind of just like, nah, whatever, right? And so I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And he goes, what are you looking for? And I said, oh, I'm looking for, this is my price range. And he showed me a used 2025 8R blue, and I was like, I really want a white and blue one. And they're like, oh, we don't have one right now. We should be getting one here soon. I go, well, can you give me a call when you get one? He's like, well, I think we're out of your, not that he said he thinks he's out of our price range, but this is what they cost, right? And so that blue one would probably be that blue and silver would probably be a better fit for my price range. But I didn't really want a used one, and if I want to pay that much for a used one, I want something that, that looks a little bit nicer, is a color that I want. And I was kind of like, nah, kind of soured me to it, right? So, but nothing to Woods. They're really nice. They talked to me right off the bat. The guy helped me out pretty quick. He showed me, the two guys that were there showed me the Gixxer 40th anniversary. That looked really nice. But I was looking for something a little bit more upright, not so aggressive. So then I went down to Kent. And this is where the YoYo guy was having an issue. He said that they seemed a little racist there. They seemed a little standoffish. When I went in there, I was like, hey man, I'm not really looking for a bike. Not really looking to purchase today, right? Maybe in the next week or two or a month. But I'm looking for a Hornet. That's what I wanted to see. If they had any Hornets. And the guy goes, oh no, we don't. What kind of color do you want? I go, that red and black Hornet. I really kind of like the two-tone that it had. And he goes, no, we don't have that. We have this 8R that's yellow and black. And I was like, nah, I don't know. And he was like, we can do it for 10.5 walking out the door. And the manager was like, look, man, I got to make at least $3,000 on the bike, because they put a bunch of stuff into it, right? They put the tail tuck, they put the crash bars on the side, not crash bars, but the crash sliders. And they did something with the lights. I can't remember, like tuck-in lights or something. So they put a little bit of money into it, and I was like, maybe, I'll see. I put a $500 down on the thing, and they said they would hold it for me if I wanted it. And I signed some paperwork for insurance and stuff like that. And I said, hey, listen, I'll come back once I get some money transferred, and I'll just pay cash for it at that point. And my buddy told me, hey, listen, there's a blue and white 8R up here at the Kent in Austin. This is like a day or two later. And I was like, cool. So I went up to the one in Austin, and there was no salespeople around. I didn't expect anything. I was talking to the guy that was, I was looking for a jacket and some gloves. And he's like, oh, why don't you go look at our bikes upstairs? And I was like, nah, I already kind of had my heart set for a Hornet or, this 8R. And he goes, go look at the ones upstairs. So I went and looked up there, and sure enough, they had the blue and white, and they had the red and black Hornet. And so I was talking to him about it, and the sales guy came up maybe like 2-3 minutes later, because there was another kid up there looking. I said, hey man, listen, I'm not really in the shopping mood. I just want to kind of see what you had. I made a deal with the other Kent. He goes, oh, we're we're sisters, like blah, 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 sister stores. I'm surprised they didn't tell you about this white and red one. I was like, maybe it didn't come in at the time. I don't know why, right? Obviously, they wanted to sell that black and gold one. Because even when I went this past week, they're still there a month later, right? That black and gold one. Or black and yellow, sorry. And so I was talking to him, and he was cool about it. And I said, hey, let me talk to the other Kent. He's like, don't even worry about them. Just, if you want this one, let's make a deal. And I said, okay, if you can do 10,000 tax title license walking out the door for this one, let's talk, right? Like, if you can do that, I'm gonna go look for a jacket. You go talk to whoever you want to talk to. If you can do it, let's do it. I'll buy a jacket, gloves, helmet from y'all, if y'all do that. He's like, okay, well, let me go talk to him. So they went down, he went and talked, blah, blah, blah. He came back and goes, yeah, we can do 10.5. And I said, I really need it for 10, right? Like, I want to pay cash, 10,000 straight out for it, and just not have to worry about it. And he's like, tax title license, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking all the, shipping and all their fees. I was like, yeah, cool. Because if I do that, I can't get a helmet, I can't get gloves, I can't get jacket type of stuff like that, because that's all going to cost about $500. And he's like, no, I get it, da, da, da. And, he said, let me go talk to him, let me go ask him, yada, yada, right? So I was finishing up, I was getting ready to take off, and I told the service guy, I was like, hey, man, I appreciate it, I'll see y'all later. And he comes walking up, he goes, hey, we can do 10, walking out the door. And I was telling my buddy, dude, they must be hurting bad. And, but they were nice to me, right? Like, I'm not saying that, because I told them right off the bat, like, hey, I am not purchasing a bike. And so I didn't feel anything at any point in time that they were racist, or like, hey, how are you going to pay for this? Or, hey, how come you don't have any money to do what you're wasting my time, all that kind of stuff. And so, because I guess I was right off the bat like, hey, I want to purchase something, but not right now, and looking into it type of thing. So their job as salespeople is to convince me to buy a motorcycle. Not to be like, hey, you know what, this person is this certain color, or they don't have this kind of money because of the way they dress, so I'm not going to waste my time on them. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that, I'm pretty sure. And there are people that have off days, but their job is to sell me a motorcycle. So if they're going to be racist, or they're going to be bigoted, or even like sexist towards like women or something, or men, stature or height, or just the way they look, at that point I feel like that guy doesn't want to sell. He doesn't want to do anything with commission, and what's the point of him being there type of thing. So that's on them. Like, you could be rude and you could say things that are disrespectful to me, and I'm not really going to take it. I'm just going to move on with my life. But there are a lot of people that take that stuff to heart. And this YoYo guy was one of those things that was like, hey, man, that was disrespectful. I don't really appreciate it. Peace out, bye. You're not getting my business, which is totally acceptable in any kind of form of fight. So if you don't want to deal with somebody like that, you just bounce out and walk away.